scripture today is a fairly familiar one. It comes from Luke 12, verses 13 to 21. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me." But he said to him, "Friend, who set me to be a judge or arbitrator over you?" And he said to them, "Take care. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions." Then he told them a parable. The land of a rich man produced abundantly. And he thought to himself, "What should I do? For I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build larger ones. And there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, 'Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, this very night your life is being demanded of you, and the things you have prepared, whose will they be?' So it is with those who store up treasures for themselves, but are not rich toward God." For our focus moment today, we're looking at a few questions related to the scripture. A large number of years ago, we did tithing reports. Anybody remember that? And we need to distinguish between what was a just want and what was a need, which led to the joke, "It's probably not a just want, I just want it." So what is a need? What is a want? What's the difference between a need and a want? We probably each have different answers to that. Which is more important, a need or a want? We'd like to say it's a need, wouldn't we? But sometimes people sacrifice their needs to get their wants. Think about this for a minute. Let's look at these questions more closely on the next slide. We all think homes are needs, right? But what kind of home? What do we want? What do we need? The people in Haiti living in the shack are probably, after all those hurricanes and earthquakes, glad to have some shelter. But we wouldn't consider that sufficient, would we? They probably don't really think so either, but it's what they have. The little bungalow, that looks pretty nice, but it's probably not big enough for some families. Maybe some families really do need the big house because they have maybe big families or extended families. It's easy for us to judge, but we need to judge for ourselves and decide what's important and needful for our own selves. So let's look at another necessity on the next slide. What about drinking water? I am very glad I do not have to carry buckets of water from a common well. But some people are glad just to have that well. Some people turn their noses up at water from the kitchen sink. But I don't think I want to spend $100 for a bottle of water, though some people do. What is a just want and what is a need? Let's look at another necessity on the next slide. What about food? I've heard all sorts of stories about poor college students surviving on ramen. It's certainly one of the cheapest. I can remember growing up on casseroles and canned peas. Those look frozen though. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? Or do we go for the fine fillets and rich living? What's a need? We need sustenance. Peanut butter and jelly is probably not all that healthy on white bread. So maybe we need sustenance, but we can't always afford what we really need as far as healthy food. That's especially true in some of the cities where they don't have good grocery stores. Let's look at another necessity on the next slide. What about clothing? I was amazed at the range of prices for these jeans. If you can't see this, it's $16.07 for Levi's at Amazon, 65 basically dollars for Aeropostale jeans at Aeropostale, however you say it. $9.50 for Saint Laurent women's 90s mid-rise straights at Saks, and $1,400 for a Ralph Lauren collection women's jeans with embellishments and holes at Saks. What's a want? What's a need? And what in the next slide, what about phones? We need to communicate. How do we do it? What do we want? What do we need? Our broken iPhones here, or actually the Kohl's broken iPhones here, are doing a wonderful job as our cameras, right? Mom still has a landline like that, though she has a phone too, a cell phone too. But you know, jitterbug, what do we want and what do we need? Do we need the newest and greatest? Well, you know, some people may, some people may not. We have to judge. What do you think the rich man should have done with his windfall? If you were in the position of the rich man, maybe you got a huge bonus at work or an inheritance or won the lottery. Would your views on what's a need and what's a necessity change? For our Ministry of Music, we will be listening to the hymn Brothers and Sisters of Mine. Rather than singing along, please just concentrate on the words as you listen.
Brothers